Guys, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and I glorify God because it's like the scales are finally coming off of our eyes. We finally can see things for what they are, with all these files coming out, and on top of that, right, it's like, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, stars and public figures were people you were like looking up to, like you used to think they were all that, right? But now God is exposing all of these things, and it's amazing. So I saw these files. I'm sure you probably saw these files, right? This one right here. And the part that actually really interested me was the last part, where it says for follow-up recommendation and or technical specification for strain pandemic simulation. So these are emails between Gates and Epstein, right? And I'm sure you guys saw that, like, he get probably denied everything. He denied all of these allegations, and he was like, yo, I didn't do it. He was sending it to himself, right? But anyway, right? So this was sent, as you see here, in March 3rd, 2017. In March 3rd, 2017, that's 3 years before the pandemic. And I think around 2017 or 2016, he did a TED Talk. Wait, let me tag it right here so that we can watch it together.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement, filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we have invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not.
And then literally 4 years, right? Day by day, the pandemic happened. As if he predicted everything. So there is a lot of things like this happening in the world. A lot of simulations, like things that looks real, but in reality, it's all an orchestra, right? The Bible talks about spiritual wickedness in high places, right? These are a group of people led by spirit, a principality, right, in power. They take those decisions and then they implement it to destroy lives, so that the real agenda may have been the Jews. And by Jews, you know what I mean. I mean, I just don't want this video to be shadow banned. So to get people to be vaxxed, pretty much, right? And into that vax, they have a certain messaging passed down spiritually to people. I believe that was the real agenda, right? I really believe that was the real agenda, because how do you create something like this out of the blue and then force, and then out of nowhere things just change and everything goes back to normal? It's deeper than that. So his ex-wife responded, right? And
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. But I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it.
I don't know, but I don't know. It's not like acting to me, right? I don't know. Think what you want. I don't care. But it really sounds like some acting right now, like there is no way, after living with somebody, right, for a long time, especially people that have been involved into, the occult or anything that require a high level of spirituality, for you to come out and be like, No, you will be part of whatever your husband or your wife was doing. If they are in the occult, it's in rare cases, right? One party doesn't know what the other one is doing. Usually couples, when they're in together, they in deep. You know, I'm saying like they do everything together. Unless, you know, something happened to the point where one of them broke the contract, you know, and then that's probably what happened, if you ask me. But yeah.
Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
And I am so happy to be away from all the muck
yeah.
that was there.
I have to put more words to the muck for context for our listeners. The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, you know, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like,
Yeah, you know, again, for me, honestly, it really sounds like this is some acting, because why is this coming out now? That's the question that I'm really asking myself, is that why will this come out now? You know, I think there's something darker, or there's something else that they're trying to hide, because to create this level of scandal, to expose this type of secrets that's really deep, and nobody's getting arrested, and with what they did with the pandemic, it's just outrageous. It's just outrageous. But God is beginning to strike those evil people in power that were doing these things, and this is just the beginning. You know, more and more horrible things will start coming out. And the other thing is that people were surprised when they saw, I think, the name Baal, right, on Epstein. When the Epstein files came out, they saw the bank account had the name Baal on it. They were surprised, as if, but guys, the Bible is real. You know, I'm like, the Bible is real. This is like, it's a history book. Those deities on there were real. They were really sacrificing kids, you know, to those deities back in the days, and it's still happening today. Those demons, they don't die. They are spirits. They will be worshipped for thousands and thousands of years later on, because they are spirits. You know, they still have wealthy people, right, in darkness, that want to serve those gods. Why? Because those gods for thousands of years were producing to human beings. Like when you look at Baal, for instance, right? Let me get him here. So as you see here, right, Baal, right, he is a deity of fertility. They see fertility, as you can see here, fertility, and he has a head of a cow. So this deity right here is the same deity that the Canaanites in the Bible were worshiping. Right? When you look in the Bible right here, when Moses went to the mountain to speak to God, and he came down, and they had created a whole golden, like a golden cow or something, and they were worship. It's the same deity. That deity specialized into fertility of the soil. Back in the day, it was fertility, you know, fertility by cow, like cattle and all those animals, right? But today, those cattle are now wealth. Those cattle are now assets. Those cattle are now all those things, and they have to sacrifice the most innocent, which are pretty much the children. And there's a demonic principle in the occult, is that the more, right, others are suffering, the more you will be wealthy. Like, by others, I mean nothing that is more pure. There's nothing that is more pure than children. You see, children are the purest ever, even in front of the eyes of God. That's why these rituals were done, by sacrificing kids, inflicting pain into them, and over time, those deities will be pleased by it and then bless those congregants, which is really sad and really demonic. That's why this is really detestable to God. And you know, he will expose. There's way more dark things that happen in the word, and I thank God that these things are slowly, you know, it's just coming out slowly. It's just coming out slowly, but I really thank God for it. But yes, as usual, please subscribe and like the video. I'll see you next time.